Hey everybody, Jeff Schneider here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things, and that is adding these tasty little piano fills to basic chord progressions. Because you don't always want to have crazy chords. Sometimes you just want to add in a little something something to a basic like 4-chord pop tune. Now before we get into it, a quick reminder that the Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator is on sale this week, and after Friday it's no longer going to be available or on sale, so check it out at the link in the description below. Let's get into it. Let's just play the basic version of this first. So we have 1, 5, 4, 1. Very, very simple. We're in the key of C major, 1, 5, 4, 1. I'll write it out just for the folks who like to have the visual. So that's a C chord, a G chord, an F chord, and a C chord. Now, we're gonna figure out ways of dressing up each one of these chords individually. The first thing we're gonna do to that 1 chord is just the basic 1 to the 4 back to the 1. This is what I mean. Lots of different ways you can play this, but essentially I have a C major and then an F major and back to C major. But notice in my left hand, the C is staying there the whole time. So we could do different inversions. So let's just write that passing chord or that neighbor chord, whatever you want to call it, as F over C. Now the other thing we can do is F minor over C. This one's really nice. Beautiful. That's an F minor over C. I think a better way to write this would be like this. So for the C major, we're just gonna write all these options. So for C, we can do F over C, we can do F minor over C. And what you can also do is play these in a more open style voicing. So instead of closed position like this, you can open it up and do the same kind of thing. Or F minor. So that's using the F over the C or the F minor over the C. Here's another one you can do over that 1 chord, and that's using the 2 chord instead of the 4 chord. So what's the 2 chord? It's D minor. So we've got a D minor over C. You get this sound. It's similar to the F over C, but a little bit different. Maybe a little bit more of an R&B type of a sound. This is all C major, D minor, C major, D minor, C major, D minor, just going back and forth between those 2 chords. Now before we made that F major and F minor, what can we do to the D minor? We can make it a D diminished. So we're gonna do D diminished over C, and that gives us that A flat again. So this kind of sound. So that's D diminished over C, just going back and forth between my alternate chord and my main chord, which is C major. This is all still vamping on the 1 chord essentially. We're gonna come back to C major in a little bit. Let's move on to that 5 chord, G. One of my favorite things to do for the 5 chord is to bring in that 7, that flat 7. But we're not gonna play it like that, because that's pretty boring. That's just a root position 7 chord. Let's do this little flourish. That's nice. So what did I do there? This is kind of like a G6 right here, and then I'm gonna take this voicing, go a half step down, and then one more half step down till I get to this, which is, it's like a G9 almost. How do I remember this? How should you remember this? I like to think of it as an E minor triad that I just move down chromatically until I get to a D minor triad. Another way to think about it is put that root in the top, then you have the 6 or the 13 in the middle, and then the 3rd in the bottom of that voicing, and then move everything down a half step. When you put it all together, it's basically like a G13 chord, so we'll call it the G13 chromatic thing. We'll just write G13 chromatic. Another way you can do it, take this, what looks like an E minor triad, and you can do it in different inversions. So instead of having the G up here, you can put it down here. So now you have this inversion, and you can do the same thing, just move it down chromatically. And that's a really nice way of dressing up that 5 chord. Another thing you can do is just like we did with the 1 chord, where you go to the corresponding 4. What do I mean by that? Here's the 1 chord, corresponding 4 was F major, back to 1. Well, if we're in G or on a G chord, what's the corresponding 4 to G? It's C major. Same kind of thing. You're just going between the main chord and then the corresponding chord. So this would be a C over G. You can also do this. That is taking this shape right here, the 3rd and the 5th, and then moving that shape up. It's basically the interval of a 3rd, moving it up all the way till you get the 5th and the 7. So let's put some of this stuff together. We're going to start with that ascending thirds thing. And then go right into that G13 chromatic lick. One more time. I'm throwing in some extra grace notes there for some added soul and flavor, but you don't need to do that. You can just start with your basic. That's fine too. Another variation. This is similar to the thirds thing, but now I'm adding a 3rd note. So I've got my flat 7 in the bottom of that voicing now, and I'm taking that shape and moving it up the scale. So it's all G7. I don't even think it's worth writing all this out. I think it's better to just look at the shapes that I'm playing and see how I'm just moving them up and down the scale. In this case, the scale is the G7 scale or the G mixolydian scale. So that's pretty cool. Let's put some more of these chords together. We're going to start with the 1 and then go to our 5. So there's that D diminished over C to our G13 chromatic. So already we're making this 1 chord to 5 chord progression sound a lot cooler, a lot tastier by adding in these little piano fills. All right, let's go to the 4 chord now. A lot of this stuff you can just repurpose, by the way. Like when we're on the 4 chord, you can kind of do a F7 and do the same kind of thing where you play the F6 voicing and then go chromatic down, that F13 chromatic thing that we did. You can also do the ascending thirds thing. That works really well, or do the full triad. Here's another thing you can do. This one's on the 4 chord. Check this out. Again. So what am I doing there? Well, I've got this F the whole time in the bottom, and now I'm playing essentially triads and second inversion going down the F mixolydian scale. So the F mixolydian scale is like an F major scale with a flat 7. And I'm playing chords or triads in second inversion. So you could start here if you want. This is F major in second inversion. And then I'm going to take this shape and just move it down the scale. There's something about this second inversion sound that works really well. Very cool, very cool. So let's put this all together and I'll break it down as we go. We're going to start with the 1 chord to the 5 to the 4 back to the 1. So what did I do there? Well, first up, we did the D minor over the C to the C to the D diminished over the C. So I'm walking down this melody. D minor, C major, D diminished, C major. And then I came back up. That's C major, D minor, C major, D minor, C major. Really just C major and D minor. I threw 1 D diminished in there. Really it's about that melody. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-boop. And then we went to the 5 chord. I think I did that. So this is a G7 going between the G7 and the C major chord. And then I did my chromatic thing. And then for the F, this is just a regular F major. And this is that thirds thing we talked about, where you go up in thirds. The melody there is the 5. C is the 5 of F. 5, 6, 7, 6, 5. Harmonized in thirds. Ba boop baby boo beep boop. And then I went back to the 1 chord. To the 5. I'm adding a couple extra notes like that's the melody I'm playing. 1 chord. There's the D minor over the C. Back to the C. To the 5. This is just a cool little extra lick. I'm essentially doing a quick grace note from the flat 3 to the 2. We're on a G7 chord here, so flat 3 is B flat to A. Now there's one other thing I wanted to show you that you can do on any of these chords, and that's this. So what's going on here? We've got a C7, and then I take that shape down a half step. I still have a C, so what chord am I playing here? This is a C diminished 7. C diminished 7. I can do this in just about any inversion. So the basic version of this is just to play the root in the left hand and then the 3rd, the 5th, and the flat 7 in the right, and do that in any inversion. And then you just take that 3-note voicing in the right hand, go down a half step, and now you have a C diminished 7 chord, which works really well just going back and forth between the two. Or here. Or here. And that works on any of the chords. You can do it on the 4 chord or the 5 chord. And then you can start mixing it all together. And you get all of these cool little chromatic neighbor chords, passing chords, whatever you want to call them, but it dresses up these basic progressions. We didn't talk about minor chords yet. Let's do that very quickly. Let's say you have an A minor. Well, what you can do to dress this up is play a G major instead of A minor. So you still have the A in the bass, but a G major triad works really well as a way of creating some extra harmonic movement. Of these examples, you see I'm doing the same kind of thing where I'm going between the 2 chords in the various inversions. So this is A minor in 2nd inversion, to G major in 2nd inversion, to A minor in 1st inversion, to G major in 1st inversion, to A minor in root position, to G major in root position, to A minor back in second inversion down the octave. So essentially the melody created by that is, which is a very nice melody, and you can just harmonize it using those triads. All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. If you wanna go deeper with this stuff, I highly recommend that Jazz R&B Chord Accelerator on sale this week. Enrollment closes Friday, so check it out, link below and somewhere on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, bye-bye.